Wembley, Wembley, we're the famous Aston Villa and we're off to Wembley. Come on, Preston 0, Aston Villa 3. Make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you are buzzing for Aston Villa to be back at Wembley in the FA Cup semi-finals. And we will face Crystal Palace in that semi-final coming up at the end of April. We're going to get right into the game. It was a comfortable performance in the end. Preston, yes, gave it their all, particularly in that first half, made it difficult for Aston Villa, but the quality shined through in the end, and it was Marcus Rashford at the double that did the damage. A wonderful performance from him. We'll come on to him a little bit later, but let's get right into the game. Starting lineup came out. Obviously, we've talked about it. The players that are now available for Unai Emery to use are incredible. Only really Ross Barkley, who is out of contention at the minute. And he started with Emi Martinez in goal, Matty Cash right back, Luca Dean left back, Ezri Konsa, Tyrone Mings at the back, with Yuri Tillemans and Boubacar Kamara in that midfield, with Marco Asensio in front of him, Rodgers operating off the right, Ramsey off the left, and Marcus Rashford up top. And if you look at those substitutes, you've got the likes of Ollie Watkins, Amadou Onana, Daniel Marlon, John McGinn, Ian Matson, Garcia. I mean, what a bench. And Leon Bailey didn't make the squad. And also Ross Barkley, as I've said, was injured. So fantastic options that Unai Emery's got. But in terms of the way that the game went, particularly in that first half, it was probably to be expected. You know, Preston came in with a big atmosphere, you know, a big game for them. And they made it difficult for Aston Villa. They pressed quite high. They wanted to put us under pressure. They kept very well organised. They were putting their bodies on the line. And Villa were a bit slow in terms of, they were quite quick in moving the ball across the back. But once they got the ball into the midfield or the attacking third, a little bit slow to kind of get going and couldn't quite find the movement. But credit to Preston, they made it difficult for Aston Villa and they got their bodies on the line. They got a lot of blocks in. But what that does is it increases the effort that they're putting into the game. And you kind of knew that as the game wore on, if Villa didn't do anything silly, if they didn't make any stupid mistakes, that eventually the quality, whether that by the players on the pitch or whether that by the substitutions that it would make, would come through in the end. We had quite a few corners in that first half. I think it was 7 or 8 corners. Didn't quite get anything from them. I think there was one where Rashford put it in and Ezri Konsa headed it over the top. We seemed reluctant to shoot. But then on set pieces, we were willing to shoot from sort of 30, 35 yards. I think Rashford had one that went into the keeper's arms. Luca Dean had one that went over the bar. And then Rashford tried one from sort of 35 yards that I think it hit Tyrone Mings in the end and went wide. And it was actually Preston who had probably the best chance of that first half. Robbie Brady cutting in, clipping it in with his left foot. And I think it was Mings or I think it might have been Martinez that palmed it away, but he didn't palm it away far enough and it went back into the box and the midfielder headed it he kind of headed it quite well wide in the end, but really should have done better. But that was really it from a first half that didn't really have too much about it. Villa had, I think, 74% possession, 26% possession for Preston, but they looked quite threatening on the break, whereas Villa needed to up the tempo. And you know, in that second half, you could kind of see what was going to happen. The first 10, 15 minutes, we had 1 or 2 little openings, nothing to shout about too much. Preston tried to press us a bit higher, put us under a bit more pressure, really, looked like they were going to try and go for the game. I think they had a couple of corners themselves. But then on the 59th minute, that's when the quality really shone through. And it was Marcus Rashford that got the goal. And it was a great goal, as I say. Some really nice play down that right-hand side. I think it might have been more Jacob Ramsey that got the ball off the defender who tried to slide tackle him. But it was really nice play moving up to Ramsey. He then drives with the ball, carries it on, plays it out wide to Luca Dean. Marcus Rashford makes a great run, puts it across here. Digne puts it across and in his stride, and Rashford just puts it into the net, and it was more than he deserved, no less than he deserved, sorry, because he was fantastic all game. He was making those runs in the first half. We weren't finding them, and I'm sure Unai Emery told him, look for the runs that Marcus Rashford is making, and we did that. And we kept hitting the first man with the cross. And this time, thankfully, Luca Digne puts it across and Rashford put it into the net. And it was 1-0 to Aston Villa. And you kind of knew what was going to happen from there. It was more like how many goals could Aston Villa get? And soon after, we probably should have made it 2-0. Really should have made it 2-0. Another ball across the box. I think it was Rashford again. Makes the run. Beats his man again. Puts it across. Jacob Ramsey somehow running into it. Misses it. It falls to Morgan Rogers. He hits the shot and it's blocked on the line by the defender. And then 2 minutes after that, some nice play down the right-hand side. This time, Villa all now moving the ball around really well. Players moving, wanting the ball. Morgan Rogers gets the ball in the box. It kind of not the greatest of passes to him, but he manages to poke it back to Kamara, and the defender treads on his foot, trips him over. Penalty, up steps Mr. Rashford again. Lovely, lovely penalty. Sends the goalkeeper the wrong way, and it's 2-0 Aston Villa. And, we're cruising into the semi-finals then. Make a few changes after that. I think McGinn comes on, Onana comes on, Marlon comes on. But just before that, I think we wanted that third goal, and it was provided by Jacob Ramsey. A lovely, lovely finish after he missed that opportunity before. Lovely play by Luca Digne, slides it into him. He runs on. At this point, Preston defenders are really tired. Cuts it into the central area of the box and smashes it past the goalkeeper, through the goalkeeper's hands and into the net. And look, 3-0, comfortable win. And we probably could have made it 3-4-5-6 after that. Ollie Watkins comes on with 10 minutes to go, misses two great chances. One, a header right in front of goal. Maybe he's slightly unsighted because Ezri Konsa goes for it. The next one, ball played through to him. He manages to hold off the defender, comes across into the central area of the penalty box, but drags his shot wide. Jacob Ramsey has another effort right at the end. But yeah, should have been maybe 5 or 6, but it probably would have flattered us a little bit, and it probably wouldn't have been fair on Preston in terms of their own efforts, because they did put quite a bit into the game, but without really threatening Aston Villa. And look, defensively, really good for Villa again. Another clean sheet. I think that's 4 out of the last 5 games. And it's looking so much more organised. Ezri Konsa looks a different player at the moment with Tyrone Mings at the back. I know we've got Pau Torres to come in as well, which is a great option. Luca Digne at left back. Obviously, Ian Maatsen played really well the last game. Digne's got to play well. Matty Cash at right back. He knows he's got Garcia breathing down his neck. This is the competition that we need, and this is why we need these players to push the players on the pitch forward, and more forward, because it's leading to being more organised, more professional. And if you can keep that organisation, at the other end, with the likes of Rashford, Asensio, Ramsey, Rogers, Marlon, Bailey, Watkins, it is absolutely incredible, the attacking prowess that we've got, the way that we can change up a game. These players know that there's players on the bench that can come onto the pitch and perform. And the Unai Emery knows that he can bring players on to change a game, which is exactly what you want. In terms of performances, I thought Boubacar Kamara was excellent again in central midfield, so composed, knows how to play, can take the ball under pressure, can move his body and get into little areas and take the ball forward. We know what Yuri Tielemans can do, moving the ball with no more than 3 touches. If you watch him play, it's 1, 2, maximum 3 touches every single game. And he's just so good at moving the ball forward. Morgan Rogers was quiet in that first half off that right-hand side, but second half started to get into it more. Marco Asensio drifts in and out of the game, but he's so intelligent. Some of the passes he makes, he works hard as well, but he gives space to other players. He's such an intelligent footballer. Jacob Ramsey was bright. All first half, he was probably the brightest of our players in terms of an attacking sense, and moved the ball really well, ran with the ball really well. His touch was better under pressure. And second half, he got his goal that he deserved and probably should have got more, but he was excellent all game. He's running with the ball. And this is what having those players behind him, breathing down his neck, is going to do to him, because he can really, really shine in this Aston Villa side. But man of the match, for me, easily Marcus Rashford, 2 goals. Fantastic for him to get off the mark for Aston Villa. But his movement in that first half was excellent. We just weren't finding him. But then in the second half, we actually managed to do it. And this is what he can do. He can threaten him behind. He can come for the ball short. He can take the ball out wide. He's just such a good player. And if you get him firing and fit and confident, he's going to be an absolutely incredible player for us on this run-in for the rest of the season. I'm so happy that he got his 2 goals. And we take now into the semi-final to face Crystal Palace. Obviously, the other game, Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth or Manchester City. We'll see how Bournemouth and Manchester City get on later today, i.e. Sunday. But yeah, Crystal Palace, going to be a tough game. They had a really good result yesterday against Fulham. They've got some of their players playing really well at the moment. Mateta, Eze, Wharton was so good against us, but we need to get our own back. But this is the manager. This is the manager that Unai Emery hasn't beaten and really wants to beat. So can we get that win against him at Wembley and take us into the final of the FA Cup? If we can get this competition won this season, it will be absolutely phenomenal for Villa fans and for the club and for players like Tyrone Mings, John McGinn and Ezri Konsa, who have been so good for us over the last 4 or 5 years. So it's this FA Cup run has been fantastic. We don't want it to end there, but let's make sure we get on to beat Crystal Palace. That's it from me. I'll be back later for a Lions Raw match reaction special with Kev. We'll talk through more of the performances, go into a little bit more detail. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We'll also be back next week with Fans Forum, Brighton preview, Brighton reaction, you name it. We're going to cover it on this channel. So stick with the channel. Make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, get involved in the comments. Do you agree with me? Rashford man of the match. And what do you think about facing Crystal Palace at Wembley in the semi-finals? Thank you for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.